Welcome to this edition of Press Box Live, and it's brought to you by a new sponsor, Warnken Law. If you've been injured in a crash in the Baltimore area, you don't want to play small ball. You want to get the big guys, and that's Warnken Law, warnkenlaw.com or 443-RESULT. Trust me, you will be making a smart choice. We're also brought to you by the Costas Inn, and we'll let you know a little bit more about them. Halfway through the interview today, we have the Chief Revenue Officer of the Baltimore Orioles, Don Rovak. Don, exciting times down at Camden Yards.
Very exciting times. Yeah, there's hopefully we don't get interrupted with any of the construction vehicles doing some last minute work behind me, but it has not been a boring off season. It won't be a less boring 7 days. It's been incredible.
You know what's funny about last year, and there wasn't a lot funny about last year, is that Katie Griggs put in so much time putting together this team, hiring you, hiring my friend Mark Fine, and putting her team together. And it was assumed that the team on the field was going to be, a contender, a perennial contender. And last year was a really tough season, but it did in a way, did it give you a season to get everybody's feet on the ground and hit this season really running?
Yeah, I mean, I like you in my interview with Katie and at the end of 24. She had promised me a few more wins than we had last year. There's Yeah, I mean, it was a difficult year, across the board for sure, and I think helped clarify a few of the things that we're trying to do in terms of building the foundation. I don't know if it didn't make anything easier, but it definitely, sometimes winning can really unmask or mask some of the inefficiencies and ways to improve. And so it probably gave us that look a little bit more
All right.
front center than we wish we would have had. I thought we'd be in this thing long after Memorial Day, and as it turned out, baseball gods did not have
They
that in
didn't
the mind
shine
for the
on us, though.
25 Orioles. No, not at
Yeah,
all.
they didn't shine on us. Hopefully, this season's going to be a lot different. And first of all, it's going to be a lot different down at Camden Yards. But before we dig into that, wanted to talk to you. I'm not sure a lot of people understand the title Chief Revenue Officer. And do you lean into that title, or do you see yourself something a little bit more than that?
I think it's funny you ask it that way. To me, I've had a number of conversations with Katie. It is an industry term. So the job basically is anything that's touching revenue, right? And the way that I think I lead and build our culture, the way that I communicate with our fans, it always has to start with service. It has to start with experience. If you focus on revenue first, then you're missing it, and then you will fail. And so to me, it's always about the relationships. It's always about how do we provide exceptional service? How do we truly listen and respond? And as a result of those things, then you end up being able to generate more revenue, whether that's through the sponsorship and activation team, whether that's through ticketing and ticket sales, group sales, club sales, suite sales, or being better at monetizing this beautiful ballpark on the other 200 plus days that the Orioles aren't playing on the field. So overall, at the end of the day, the job is how do we maximize the revenue. In reality, the revenue is always the result of doing the right things for the right people internally, and then our customers as well.
Wanted to ask you one question, then I want to talk to you a little bit about your relationship with Katie and how that led you to Baltimore. But the footprint of the ballpark, David Rubenstein's predecessor, John Angelos, not Peter, but John had this vision that somehow he could create something akin to the ballpark down in Atlanta, where there's all kinds of other revenue streams that go into it. Do you see that eventually? And I don't want to dig too deep into that today, but do you see that possible on that footprint? Or is it maybe a larger neighborhood initiative eventually?
I think what the Braves have done in Atlanta is a model that there's a lot of sports teams that are looking to replicate. right? How do you take the experience inside the gates and expand that throughout a block or a mile away? And so yeah, I mean, I absolutely think and hope that in our longer term plans that there's a vision that it is more about driving downtown and going to the ball game, getting in your car and leaving. We're going to be better the more entertainment options um, that are around the ballpark and making a longer afternoon or a longer evening. And then those things usually help the financing of the ball club itself, but overall building up downtown, building up community, which is everything on brand with hopefully what we with
All
this
right.
team.
Don, this will be your second year here at Camden Yards working for the Orioles, but it's not your second year working with Katie Griggs. Talk a little bit about your relationship, what it dates back to, and what lured you here to Baltimore and how important she was in attracting you to this job.
Yeah, it's funny how the stars align. I had I'm from brief history on me. I'm from St. Louis originally, worked in Memphis, the AAA baseball team for the Cardinals, Memphis Redbirds for about 10 years. And then I was down in Atlanta working with the Atlanta Falcons, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and Atlanta United for much of the last 20 years. Um, over at the in those times, I guess for about 4 years, kind of I guess 2017 to 21, had an opportunity to work with Katie. My role was senior vice president of ticketing and the event side of the business. So we were the parent company for Atlanta United, Atlanta Falcons, and stadium events. Katie was the chief business lead on Atlanta United. So we worked very closely together when we were building Atlanta United for one of the best startups in professional sports history. Um, that Katie left to go to Seattle to become the president there, and we stay. You know, we didn't talk often, but I would say phone a friend when she needed some advice or I would need some advice. Probably talked once or twice a year, and um, and then she became president of the Orioles in summer of 24. Shot me a shot me a text and asked me if I'd ever consider leaving Atlanta. I thought the answer was no. I had just had a buddy coming in from out of town who had literally said, "Man, you've been here for a while." And no lie, Stan, it was the first time I ever said it out in the world. And I'm like, I think I'm going to retire again. He's like, that's amazing. And then Katie shot a text and I spent some time. So I greatly value Katie and what she stands for and a true leader. A lot of times, as I've joked with her, that feel we all feel we're smarter than our boss. This is not one of those times when we feel that. I just really admire the way that she goes about the business, the way that she delegates, the way that she multitasks, the way that she listens, the way that she focuses on the fan, and her energy and work ethic is second to none. And it's on brand with my brand, which is community culture, the right things. And so if there's ever a person that could get me out of Atlanta, it was Katie. And then I spent some time learning about David. In Atlanta, I had a wonderful opportunity to work for a brilliant owner in Arthur Blank, but
Yep.
we were always focused on the values, focused on the culture, learning from the start of Home Depot and how we could fuse that into our business. And so I knew you don't leave a great owner unless you're going to a great ownership group. Then learning about David and Mike and the group that we put together here checked another a box that started to take it a little bit more seriously, and then came down for an interview during a ball game in September. And I remember texting my wife saying, I don't think so. It doesn't feel quite as big as Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Then as I tell Katie, she ruined my job because everything here is there's so much to do and there's so much upside, both on the city, on the community, on a ballpark. There's so much tackle where that wasn't the case, where I've been very proud of what we built in Atlanta, but it just lacked that felt steady state, not building. And so decided to come here. We moved here. I moved here in January. I'm a senior in high school that'll finish up next month, and then my wife will move up from Atlanta in August.
So I get that Katie was pretty persuasive. When you did your homework on David, What impressed you about him and his partner?
The at the end, it was a long-term vision. It was the community-centric um, focus. It was not, it wasn't an owner that wanted to do this for the ego and wanting to do this for the immediate gratification. Wasn't going to be involved day in and day out. It was somebody that was playing the long game, was playing it for the city, for the community, to build something special. And that meant a lot to me. I mean, again, that was everything. And so I remember I met with one of Arthur's, somebody that's pretty close to Arthur, and he had been a big fan and knew a lot more about David than I did. He's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, David Rubenstein, you have to look at this guy and talked him up." And on the ownership side of what has happened or what I've experienced the last 14 months since I've been here, just a home run, knocked out the park. Um, so patient as we are all here trying to build our culture and be great to the fan. And it's been a hard year with the backdrop of a little bit less winning than we wanted last year. Yet every check in with ownership, just smooth sailing, not second guessing, education, understanding, and really a calmness that you feel this is a winning program and it's focused on winning, and that matters a lot.
Um, the changes at the ballpark for the upcoming season. Let's start to address some of that. How do those changes, and we'll get more specific, but do changes to a ballpark enhance greatly your ability to generate revenue or your team to generate revenue?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some short term and then there's some long term impacts, right? This is a, this is a ballpark second to none. It's an iconic venue that, we are very clear that we are not, um, are we bringing it along into the next generation? Absolutely. Are we creating new fan enhancements? Absolutely. So hopefully, if we've done it right, and I think we have taken every detail into consideration, that the things that we all love about beautiful ballpark, that it will still be exactly that. At the same time as when you think of the venue changes that the best venues have created in the world, a lot of it is about different market segmentation. And we are we have been a great place for the baseball fan. These amenities are going to make it a lot more attractive for the casual fan, for our kids, for grandkids, for people that might not necessarily be into the game of baseball yet. Are there going to be people that have grown up here that have gotten used to the smallest video board in Major League Baseball and love it? Yes. Right? Is it a lot bigger? Absolutely. Are we gonna all hear that it's too big, even though it's, kind of middle of the pack in Major League Baseball? We are. Every one of those people, I guarantee their children and their grandchildren will only see it as a plus, as a way to stay more connected to their heroes on the field, as a way to consume statistics, as a way to see replays. And whether that's on the video board, whether that's on the view away, on the right field board, whether that's on the ribbon board that'll develop digital around the venue, or the way to stay connected as you're walking through the concourse or at a restroom or a concession stand, having hundreds more televisions that are up to date, that are showing replays, that are doing the things that keep younger generations involved. That's, to me, why it's only a major positive.
You use the word hearing, and that's one of the things that's going to change a great deal for fans who have struggled. And I struggle at my age now. I know I look much younger, but I'm 74 and I struggle with hearing. And at that ballpark, that was one factors that was really a struggle is hearing. Talk a little bit about the upgraded sound system.
It's so funny. So we've heard of that there's a new sound system, and I think it's almost gotten trumped with a lot of the other enhancements here. And then probably Monday, they were testing the sound system, and I'm here in the warehouse, and it sounded clear. It sounded like a rock concert. It sounded really good, and not just a loud, muffled sound. Um, and it was noticeably different, and I wasn't ready to hear it. Again,
Right.
I've been here 16 months, and there's definitely fans that have been coming here for years that have gotten more used to it. But it's more, the thing about these venues, it's a lot of it's about the balance of sound. Whereas last year, prior years, where you were sitting, it could either be very, very loud or very, very quiet or a great variance. Whereas now there's just more a true sound system that's more thoughtful, like you're in the present day.
Don, I'm going to talk to you more about the changing of the guard of the old press box to the Truist Club. We're going to get into that in just a minute, but right now I got to talk about a place that, Don, you're still kind of new to Baltimore, the Costas Inn. If you love steamed crabs, there's a location for that out at 4100 North Point Boulevard, one of the best crab houses in the city and state, and also the new location right by inside the Timonium racetrack in the upper deck there, the clubhouse there, right next to the OTB, the new Timonium Costas Inn, where I'll be dining tonight. Have a birthday dinner to go to there. Same great menu, minus the steamed crabs, but both locations have like a home cooking type of atmosphere, great service and great food and great value. All the things you'd want in a restaurant. The Costas Inn, two great locations, 4100 North Point Boulevard and right above the Timonium Fairgrounds at the racetrack there, right next to the OTB. Back with our remaining time with Don Rovak, who's the Chief Revenue Officer of the Baltimore Orioles, and it sounds like a lot more than Chief Revenue Officer. Don, I've been fortunate since the ballpark opened in 1992 to have access to an incredible view of games from the press box. That has been, I knew the minute David bought that team, I said, he didn't pay a million, about 1.6 billion or whatever he paid, and we're not going to have that same clubhouse, the press box. Talk about the value of that press box and what the Truist Club, named after Truist Bank, just named today officially the Truist Club. How special is that going to be?
Yeah, we talked about kind of market segmentation and different products for different groups. And one of the areas that Camden Yards had kind of fallen behind the pack was really related to high high clientele business entertaining, networking, recruiting, closing, prospecting, and some of those things, and having a just a kind of a high end club. I would say different from a lot of the other spaces or places that I've been in all different sports. This is a little bit smaller, which I think fits our community perfect. It's about 350 seats. And to your point, really fits into the same footprint where the press box was. The view is going to be unbelievable. I'm sorry to say, but you have experienced it, and it's now kind of floor to ceiling glass throughout, and it is exceptional. And for those 300 plus are going to come in a little bit. They can come in a little bit early. We have a bar that's inclusive of canned cocktails and beer and wine. There's full stock bar for those that want to pour themselves a drink or want to get a drink made for them. And then there's a number of different food stations depending on what that'll be rotating throughout the year. We'll have in-seat service, seat drink service. There's huge candy wall for the kids and dessert bar for, I would say the kids, but the kid in all of us that can overconsume when we go to a ball game, but then also you have your typical hot dogs and pretzels and peanuts, whatnot. So on it's one that if you have a ticket into the Truist Club, probably shouldn't eat breakfast or lunch and just save it for dinner. So on the food side, it's going to be exceptional. And then really, there's a lot of content that we're really trying to lean in since it's such a small elite group for our members. So there's a Q&A with Mike Elias coming up in a couple weeks. Truist is going to be distributing some goodies on day one. Katie will be speaking. We have a leadership day. We have the day when everybody members get on the field. Try to hit one. See, hopefully no hamstrings pulled, but play catch and hit on the field. A few times during the year, they're going to be participating in BP, but it's just going to be a high-end experience that is probably catered to the business community. Early on, we see a mix of both DC and multiple businesses, but then also folks that just that mix kind of come into baseball games a lot with their businesses, and I think that's who it's intended for. So it's going to be incredible.
Don, you left out two things I just want to point out. You got a private entrance that you'll be able to access, and you
Right.
also get VIP parking, which has
Right.
got to be up close, right?
Yeah. I mean, the VIP parking, that's literally, what is that? I don't know, maybe 40 yards from the
Yeah.
entrance, private entrance, getting up there. So it is, it's going to be, it's going to be incredible. I'm really excited about it. And again, I think the important thing, because I've been in some of these clubs that came from, at the stadium, we'd have high-end clubs that would be accommodating thousands. And the fact that this is 300, I feel like it's really the right fit for this community, and we'll be able to give a high-end service to those members, which I'm really excited to do.
Do most clubs now in Major League Baseball, I know the NFL probably has been into this world for a long time, but do most clubs in Major League Baseball have a section like this, or is it about half and half right now?
I want to say they all do. There might be one or two that don't, but virtually they all do. The older ballparks, the older historic ballparks. I think of the Cubs, the Red Sox that infused something like this in the last decade, and so um, they really all have multiple different clubs. And again, this one's a little bit on the smaller side, um, but really excited about it. And then on the other thing that nobody in the city realizes, we've renovated the entire club and suite level. That is for about 5,000 people. We removed 10 suites, incorporated. There's a bar now down the right field line and one on third base. So anybody that has access on that to either the suites or those club seats now can have a social space where they don't need to get disconnected from the game. They can stay connected through the televisions in the club level, or actually watch the game from those new windows and new bars, which is really exciting. And then the whole area, new furnishings, new flooring, new ceilings, new lighting, new artwork. And so I don't think that's because of the video board, because of the Tourist Club, those have kind of stolen the headlines. Whereas that's going to impact, almost, almost 20% of the people on a game by game basis.
I know that the club has also announced Corona, what's it called? The Corona,
Fly court.
the flight court.
Yeah.
That and a kosher stand. Are there a lot of other new amenities to the ballpark?
Yeah, and we're still continuing to make announcements. The flat court won't be ready yet. It's the one part that won't be ready on day one. It came out a little bit later. It shouldn't really prevent those that like standing on the flagboard because it's on the back half of it. Ultimately, what'll make it really unique is we'll be able to serve beer spirits out of Utah Street and the ballpark side, which will be really cool. We have a new social space that's underneath the video board that is going to be incredible, right behind the bleachers, where companies, 300 people, can reserve it for the game and enjoy kind of a bar experience when they're have a center field view. And then on the games that we don't have a groups reserve it, it'll be open to the general public. So I think that's going to be people's favorite spot as well for many of the games, and that's going to be right underneath the video board. But televisions, full bar, right behind the center field thing. That's going to be incredible. Um, and then yes, oh, the kosher stand.
Yep.
Really excited. Yeah, fan feedback was clear last year, and we're excited to bring this to light. I guess my history buffs in the office tell me that Oriole Park was one of the first ballparks to actually have a kosher stand
Yep.
years ago, and we're excited to bring that back as a fan amenity. We'll be able to for pre-ordering take care of our members in the Truist Club as well.
How about the membership, Birdland memberships? Are they changing significantly this year?
So they changed. We looked at them last year and made some, I would say pretty aggressive changes to it. And the good news about being in this industry is that we have 29 other teams that do what we do. And so
Yep.
we have both the survey data from our customers, and we also get the metrics from what's happening throughout the country. And, we were one of very few teams that did not have a half season package, did not have a 20-game package, did not have a 10-game package. We were one of very few teams that didn't tier type of seating with the investment. And we were one of very few teams that didn't have different pricing structures based on the investment. So because we had a lot of renovations happening and it kind of worked out well, it was probably easier because the team struggled last year, but made some aggressive changes that we tried to work, have been continuing to try to work with all of our fans. Change is hard, especially when our members are so passionate about,
Yeah.
Not only the game, but their seat and their usher. And so tried to work through that and are continuing to, bring people back every day. But, I'll be honest, like I've been in this industry now 30 years, that we have a product that for a 20-game investment level, that, you can, for the season, you look at the schedule, we would buy back up to 30% of the tickets that you didn't want throughout the schedule 24 hours before a game that you can't make. You want to swap seats, you can swap seats, you can swap out of games that we're guaranteeing giveaways, so you don't have to come here when gates open anymore. If you come in the first inning, we have a reserve paid just for those Birdland members. And so they continue to get 20% off concessions, 20% off merchandise, playoff rights, opening day rights. And so we're continuing, and we will never be done. We'll continue to listen and evolve, but certain things needed to change for us to give great service. And that was so I'm very excited. I would put it again. I know that I can compare it to anybody in Major League Baseball or the NFL or the MLS that I've been with, and stand that we have the best benefits in professional sports.
Don, I just have two more questions for you. One is prior ownership, and this dates back to Peter Angelo. He kind of made it uncomfortable to be an Oriole fan and a Raven fan. I mean, the relationship he had with Steve Bisciotti because of different ages, it was always tense and awkward. Um, I understand that's changing quite a bit under David Rubenstein. Could you talk about that in the relationship? Because I know you compete for dollars and so forth in the market, but how's the relationship? How would you describe the relationship between the Orioles and the Ravens?
So I'm told of the stories that you shared, right? And so I understand the history. It's just not where we are. It's not how I think individually, as whether it's David or Katie or myself, Mark, or folks that work with me. It's not how we're wired, all coming from different parts of the country, different industries. When, I probably lived here a week before my counterparts, friends of the Ravens, and we went out to breakfast, and they told me where more of the bones are buried and told me, hey, here's a couple of clients that you need to reach out to that aren't happy with you. Here's folks that you don't even realize, some of your problems. And I continue to get calls from friends over there when somebody wants to go to the Orioles game. I've gone to a couple of the Ravens games. Can't tell my Falcon. I'm still a Falcons PSL owner, so I haven't shelved my Falcons fandom, but I definitely root for those guys on Sundays as well. So it just people love to put us against each other, thinking that the fan has a dollar to spend. Where do I spend it? Truth be told, the more often that fans are coming to Ravens games, having a great experience coming downtown, having a great parking experience, and leaving with that is so special and so important that then that helps them realize, hey, I can leave. It is safe to go downtown. It is fun to spend time with friends and family. Man, I miss doing that, and that gets you into a nature of doing it. The Ravens, we share the same. Um, our enemy is sitting at home watching television, right? How do
Yeah.
you come here and enjoy the game? So we're in this together. But again, good, solid relationships there for sure as we continue to work together and collaborate because a fan that's coming downtown, especially in this market, like in Atlanta, felt like I split with 17 other SEC teams, the pro teams, the college teams. Whereas here, this is so clearly a Baltimore Ravens and Baltimore Orioles sports town. And that clarity is pretty cool. And it's one of the things that I absolutely love about the city, how diehard all in they are for baseball and football.
Well, as a Baltimore sports fan, I got to tell you, it's uplifting to hear that the relationship is much more normalized under this ownership. My last question for you is, I know we did a cover story on the new Maryland athletic director, Jim Smith, and I think our writer spoke to you about that. You've had a relationship with Jim for a long time. Could you talk a little bit about Jim and what makes him so special and how you think he'll do at College Park?
uh, Jim's going to be great. There was when making kind of this hard life decision, there's been a couple of these points that have been the intersection of life, and Jim getting the athletic director job in July of last year was one of those special moments. My phone was going crazy, so I can only imagine how many calls he had. Um, so he was my boss for about 5 years, 5 to 6 years at the Falcons. As I tell anybody, I learned more. So I was about 15 years into my work life. I learned more about my weaknesses probably a week working for Jim than I did those prior 15 years. Um, and just, I think hopefully he would share that I've been able to mentor him out of, into some challenges, but he's been my mentor in a first phone call most times. I talked to him probably, I don't know, probably almost every day. Talked to him this morning, and especially being so close and the crossover of the market's been cool. But in the end, he's a visionary. He's optimistic. He's really good at avoiding noise and focusing on doing the right things for the right reasons, even if it's hard. And those are things that have stuck with me. Right when I think of being a great leader in this industry, focus on the right long-term vision. And it's not about what is easy today or easy tomorrow, but what is right. And that doesn't always make the most fun path, but it's important. That's what he's taught me, and it's a friendship that that's very special to me and really cool. I can't wait for my wife to move up here, and I'm not running to Atlanta quite as often because he lives about a mile from my brother out in closer to DC, and it'll be fun to spend more time with them. Sure.
All right. Well, it sounds like Baltimore is now the Atlanta of the North or something like that, with Katie, you, and Jim Smith all running the three programs around here, or
Yeah.
the Orioles and College Park. I really appreciate your time today. We went over, but I thought it was a good discussion, and I really wish you luck this year. And there's a lot of exciting stuff out there for fans at Camden Yards.
You got it. Well, Stan, I appreciate you. And if any input comes your way of ways we can improve or things that are blind spots, feedback's how we get better, and that's the most important thing.
Just keep your eye on that guy, Mark Fine. He can't be. He's very shifty and not trustworthy. He's a dear friend of mine, kind of like your relationship with Jim. So
I've definitely spent more time with Mark. Definitely more than anybody else in the last 14 months. I spent a heck of a lot more time with him and my family.
Okay.
as we continue to kind of work together and collaborate to make sure that the Baltimore Orioles are in
All
a
right.
good place. So
Uh,
appreciate you.
It's exciting year ahead. All right. Thanks to Don Rovak, Chief Revenue Officer of the Baltimore Orioles. We've been brought to you by the Costas Inn and our new sponsor, Warnkin Law. If you've been injured in a crash, you need the big boys. You don't want to play small ball. WarnkinLaw.com 443 result. Don Rovak, I'm Stan the Fan Charles, and we're out of here for now. Bye.